Right, so what I want to do is I want the user to enter a username. I want him to click login, and when he clicks that, I want to update this this username in my variables. To make that happen, I go to my code. Now, always important is to put a comment of what you're about to do. To add a comment, you can go add a comment, and that's the comment that I want to write. Write the username to the variable on the comment sheet. Now we're going to execute that. So add an event. When the user clicks this button on clicked, what should happen? Add an action. The system should set a value of a variable, and the variable that I want to update is the username, and the field that it needs to use to get the value is the txt username dot text. You have to put that dot text in. If you don't, it won't work, and then done. So that's effectively what we happen. So the functionality of it would be user comes in, he enters a username, he clicks login. By him clicking login, my code tells him to take whatever is in that login, txt user, and add that to the username. Now, we do that so that we can go and check the database to see if the user then exists, go fetch his existing score. If he doesn't exist, then we're going to come with the default score as per the variable. Right, so what we want to do next is obviously make sure that if the user has now gone and the username has been added to the other txt user has been added to the username, we want to go somewhere else. So I'm going to create a new layout in this case, and I'm going to call it an event sheet as well, and I'm going to call this menu and make the subsequent event sheet to be the same name. And all I want to do now is I want to tell it that if the information has been written, the next thing that you do is simply go to that menu. Now again, menu at the moment won't have anything, so let's just navigate to that menu. So add an action, system, and then go to. So I just type go to layout, and in this case I wanted to go to the menu. So if we were to run it right now, then whether the user exists or not in terms of our database, we haven't touched that yet, I will simply be navigating to the menu. I'm going to do the check on the arrival of the menu whether or not that user exists. But for now, the user obviously, the username has been updated to whatever we enter. So if we run that from here, and I go and I run that to here, and I enter a username called Bobby, and I say login, then that has taken me to the menu, and we know we're on the menu because there's nothing else on there. Right, so now if we look at the menu, so I'm going to double click to get that in at the top, and I want the event sheet for the main menu to be there as well, and there it is. Now what I want to do in terms of rules on my main event sheet is I go on my menu, is I want to go and simply add a comment, and I want to include comments. Now I've showed this in previous videos as to how to do that. So underneath my include comment, which means my menu now knows what the username, score, and lives status is, and I want to now just code the next section. Right, so now I'm back on my common, and I want to add the events for storing information and loading information. So to start out with, I'm just going to call it local storage, and I want to add a group, and I'm going to call that local storage, so that I can wrap things up. Right, now I go and add a function, which is one of the things in our specifications that we do. So I go add a function, and the function that I call is load storage, and I go OK. So on function load storage, what does it need to do? And what we want to do is we want it to check if this username exists in our local storage. So in order for it to be in our local storage, we want to make sure that we go to any of our windows, We double click and we simply want to add local storage as an option. Once I've added that, you can see that it's available through the entire post. Back on my action, add action, local storage, and we want to see check if an item exists. So we want to say which item are we looking for to exist, and that is the username. And we type in the username, and there you go, the variable, and then we go done. Also important is to add a comment. So this is my comment that I want to add, is to make sure that you understand you normally would only load information when you load up like at the beginning of your game, so that you check if he exists, you bring all the data in, you update these variables with it. If he doesn't, then you either create a new user for him and use the default value. So that's really important that you understand that bit of it. Now, obviously, when we load for storage, check if the username exists. There's two options. Either he is going to exist and we're going to do something, or he doesn't exist and then we're going to do something else. And I'll teach you that in the next video.